Hello everyone, you join me in the Honda Clarity, and I'm not starting this video outside of the car because, well, things went a bit wrong for me and now the weather has turned. So we're going to start off this review by driving. So welcome everyone to the Honda Clarity. It's a plug-in hybrid vehicle that's currently the only one we'll get in Canada. In certain parts in America, you guys do get a fully electric Clarity as well as a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle as well. Now we're only going to focus on the plug-in hybrid as that's what I have with me today. But with a 1.5 litre engine, a 17 kilowatt hour battery and an electric motor, what I really want to find out is, what is this thing like to drive? So let's find out here on the Drive Guide. So the Clarity has a combined peak horsepower of 212 and a combined peak torque at 232 pounds-feet. Now this is because the electric motor, the battery pack and the gasoline engine are always trying to work together to make the most efficient drive possible, but you can manipulate how that system works. So you have two buttons down here, one labeled Econ and another Sport, and that does exactly as you'd expect. But then you also have this button here that says HV on it. Now this stands for hybrid vehicle mode, and this is going to be used if you are going down a highway for a considerable amount of time. It's actually more efficient to use the engine at those speeds because with the electric motor spinning that quickly, that 75 kilometers of pure electric range, if you have it on a full charge, will go down quite quickly. You also do have the information of where your power is going. You have it in either the digital instrument cluster or here on the touchscreen. With the sort of Rev Counter, if we want to call it that, you have the tach needle going all the way around, and you have these little white indicators. That means that you're in the gasoline drive. You'll actually see that they'll turn blue, and that's when you're within sort of the parameters of what the electric motor is capable of doing. The Clarity does also have regenerative brakes, and you can control how aggressive they are with the two paddles behind the steering wheel. So if you hit the minus, it will make a more aggressive brake regeneration. The pedal feel on it is actually really good, and you would actually be hard pressed to say that this car actually does have a regenerative braking system. It's very sophisticated. What isn't sophisticated though, and you might be able to hear it right now, is the 1.5 litre engine. It's a bit rattly and unrefined, and because this car is mated to a CVT as well, if you are merging onto a highway or desperately need to overtake someone, there's this rather unpleasant noise that fills the cabin. But this is one of the very few circumstances where I drive this car and don't enjoy it. This really is the biggest issue I have with the car, is that engine. It's just a bit tinny, but otherwise the car rides really well. We've got 18-inch wheels. They've got these grey plastic coverings over the rims, and I imagine that's to boost the aerodynamic efficiency. But let's move on to the interior. I love sitting inside this car. This suede trim that goes all around the front of the dash and onto the door cards is wonderful to stroke. I love how this 8-inch touchscreen actually looks like it's floating, so you can run your fingers all the way along down the sides. It's an 8-inch system and it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, but it isn't the same system that's in the latest Accord or the latest Odyssey. Those touchscreen systems are much better than this. This just feels a little slow to respond, and the transitions take their time. Elsewhere in the interior, you do have some soft plastics around here. You do have this fake wood trim, and you can definitely find some harder plastics if you look for them. But overall, it's really quite good in here. We're in the top of the line touring trim, and with that you'll get full leather seats, you'll get a leather wrapped steering wheel, Sirius satellite radio, but really not much because the standard Clarity comes with a lot of kit. You'll have the 8-inch screen, the digital dashboard, Honda's safety equipment, so that's their lane watch system, the adaptive cruise control, you have lane keep assist and lane departure warning. Because you have Honda's lane watch, you don't have a blind spot monitoring system. This is my first time ever using Honda Lane Watch, and it's okay. It's a cool feature and all of the passengers love seeing it, but there's a bit of delay between when you actually initiate the indicator and then when it turns on. And the resolution is nowhere near as good as what it is for the rear view camera. Another weird thing is that in the top of the line touring trim, you still have manually adjusting seats. I know in America you guys get fully electric seats, but we don't here for whatever reason. Irrespective though, they're rather comfy and I am able to find a nice driving position. The problem for me is that my knees kind of run alongside this center console, and if you rest against them trying to brace around the corner, you could probably bruise your knee a little bit. I love how there's this open storage area underneath all these transmission buttons and these really clever cup holders that have 2 levels to them. So if you had like a smaller coffee cup, you can accommodate it, and then a tall skinny water bottle, you can accommodate that as well. Now let's talk about the exterior design, because the clarity definitely isn't beautiful, but it is an intriguing car to look at. I love the view from the front. The side profile is interesting, but the rear end is where things kind of go a bit weird. It has a very tall deck lid, and when I first approached this car, I actually thought it was a liftback. Think of like a Kia Stinger, that kind of a design. But it isn't. It's a conventional trunk. And just the way of this rear is designed, I just feel like that would be a logical way to have things. But when you do open up that boot lid, there is a good amount of space there in the trunk for many things. The floor is uneven, so that might be a bit of a challenge if you are trying to fit in some larger items. The seats fold down 60-40, there is no ski hatch, and you also have a storage compartment below the trunk where you can put the charger cable. Now, this is a trend that we see more and more in the automotive industry. You have 2 pieces of glass for your rear window. Now, we've seen this in the Prius and the Hyundai Ioniq, but this has also another element to the design. So for the lower piece of glass, you can look through it by a portion of glass that's in between the 2 rear headrests, and you can look down through that and you can look down to see what's behind the car. But with that piece of glass, you can also look into the trunk as well. If you pull back the trim, you can see there's some screws, and I was wondering to myself, it's those open-headed screws there so you can take out that piece of glass and try and make this into a ski hatch of sorts, maybe throw a snowboard in that, because it could definitely accommodate it. And seeing as you don't have a ski hatch as well, maybe that's what its purpose is. I have thoroughly enjoyed my time with this car. It's been an easygoing experience. It hasn't been a challenge to learn. It's been very approachable, which if you're looking for a mid-size sedan and perhaps you are interested in going a little different of a route and have that electrification, this Honda Clarity is going to be really worth a look. This car here costs just under $46,000, so it's a little more expensive than that Honda Accord I tested a few months back. But for everything that this car offers, I think it's a deal that you should certainly have a good look at. And that concludes everything I want to say about the Clarity. I want to say sorry again that you had to deal with the issues of continuation that I faced here this past day. Nothing I can really do about that, but thank you so much for taking the time to watching this video. I hope you can like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell as well. And I hope to see you again here on the Drive Guide.